Everyone run! Get out, quickly! It's coming! Run!
Did you know that experience doesn't stop death? February 1959, Soviet Union 9 experienced hikers vanished in the frozen Ural Mountains. Weeks later, rescuers discovered their tent ripped open from the inside. Their boots and coats were still there, but the hikers had fled barefoot into the darkness. One was missing her tongue, another had crushed ribs, another had bitten through his own knuckle. For more than 60 years, nobody could explain what happened at Dyatlov Pass until now. It began as an adventure on January 23, 1959.
We must follow this ridgeline here, avoiding the eastern slope.
But the snowfall was heavier there. Perhaps the western approach is safer.
She is correct.
10 students from the Ural Polytechnic Institute set out on a dangerous ski expedition across the northern Ural Mountains. Their leader was 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov. The group was experienced, disciplined, and trained for brutal winter conditions. This was a Category 3 trek, the highest and most dangerous hiking classification in the Soviet Union. During the expedition, the hikers kept journals and took photographs. They laughed together, sang songs, built campfires in the snow. Nothing seemed wrong. But 5 days into the journey...
I'm sorry, I cannot continue. The pain is too much. I must turn back now before it gets worse for all of us.
One member of the team, Yuri Yudin, turned back because of severe joint pain. That decision saved his life. He became the only survivor.
If I could ask God one question, it would be, what really happened to my friends that night?
Years later, he said if I could ask God one question, it would be, what really happened to my friends that night? On February 1st, the group reached the slopes of a mountain called Kholat Syakhl. In the local Mansi language, the name means dead mountain.
We have to get to the trees immediately! We'll freeze here!
No! The slope is safer. We set up camp right here, right now.
Instead of moving into the shelter of the forest below, the hikers pitched their tent directly on the exposed mountainside. It was a fatal decision. That night, something went horribly wrong.
We have to keep moving! Run!
The group never returned. When the hikers missed their scheduled check-in date, search teams were sent into the mountains. Weeks later, rescuers finally found the campsite. The tent was partially buried beneath the snow, and it had been slashed open from the inside. Inside were the hikers' belongings: boots, heavy winter clothing, food, and cameras. Everything had been abandoned. Footprints in the snow showed the group had fled into the freezing darkness wearing little or no clothing. Some were barefoot. The tracks led nearly a mile downhill toward a forest under a cedar tree. Rescuers discovered the first two bodies. Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko both wore only underwear and socks. Their hands were badly burned, likely from desperately trying to keep a fire alive. Branches high above them had been snapped from the tree. Investigators believed one of them had climbed upward, possibly trying to locate the tent through the blizzard. Nearby, 3 more bodies were found, including Dyatlov himself. It appeared they had attempted to crawl back toward the campsite before freezing to death. But 4 hikers were still missing. Months later, rescuers found them buried beneath deep snow inside a ravine, and this is where the mystery became terrifying. One woman, Lyudmila Dubinina, had catastrophic chest injuries. Another victim suffered a fractured skull. Yet many of the bodies showed almost no external wounds. Investigators said the force of the injuries resembled a high-speed car crash. Dubinina was also missing her tongue and eyes. Some clothing tested positive for radiation. The Soviet investigation ended with a bizarre conclusion. The hikers had died because of a compelling natural force. Then the case files were sealed for decades, and the theories exploded.
The avalanche theory doesn't hold up. Look at the structural integrity of the snowpack here.
These weather charts from '59 indicate a massive snow...
Secret military experiments, avalanches, infrasound causing psychological panic, a Yeti attack, even aliens. Because nothing about the case seemed possible. Why would experienced hikers suddenly run half-naked into a deadly snowstorm? Modern researchers now believe they may finally have the answer. According to recent studies, the hikers likely triggered a small slab avalanche after cutting into the snowy slope to pitch their tent. Hours later, powerful katabatic winds may have destabilized the snow above them. Not enough to completely bury the camp, but enough to cause severe internal injuries and convince the group they were in immediate danger. In total darkness, panicking and injured, they cut their way out of the tent and fled downhill toward the forest. But in temperatures reaching minus 25 degrees Celsius, they never stood a chance. Hypothermia set in quickly. Some likely removed clothing from the dead in a desperate attempt to survive longer. As for the missing tongue and eyes, investigators now believe scavenging animals and natural decomposition caused those injuries after death. The radiation may have come from materials some hikers worked with before the expedition. Today, most scientists believe the mystery has largely been solved. Science can explain the injuries, the snow collapse, the hypothermia. But it still cannot explain the fear those hikers must have felt that night. The confusion, the panic, the desperate choices they made trying to save one another in the freezing dark. Today, the mountain pass is named after the group's leader. And every year, people still travel there searching for answers. Because even after all these years, the frozen silence of Dyatlov Pass still feels haunted.